10 years ago today, our next guest experienced the unimaginable pain of losing his child. Ray Tranchen's 16-year-old daughter, Tessa, was killed by an illegal immigrant with a rap sheet. Alfredo Ramos was driving drunk when he struck and killed Tessa and her friend, Allison. His blood alcohol level 3 times the legal limit. Now, for the first time, thanks to President Trump, Mr. Tranchen says he sees hope for real immigration reform. Angel father, Ray Tranchen, joins us this morning from Virginia Beach, Virginia. Good morning to you, Ray.
Good morning, Steve.
I'm sure it's a sad day for the Tranchen family. Tell us what happened 10 years ago today.
Yeah, 10 years ago today, Tessa and her friend Allie Kuhnhart were driving to a Wawa just to get a pack of gum on Virginia Beach Boulevard in Virginia Beach. About a block away, there's a stoplight, and I can imagine they were just sitting there waiting for the light to change and talking about boys, probably laughing. They were really good friends, and they had great attitudes, and I can just imagine that they were laughing, goofing around. And Alfredo Ramos was driving down Virginia Beach Boulevard over 70 miles an hour with a BAC of .34. And the police officer that investigated the crime said that when you have a .3435, basically it's like driving at night with very dark sunglasses because you can't see it. He hit the back of their car at over 70 miles an hour. There were no skid marks, so they got the full impact and basically plastered them. They died immediately, and you know, I was shocked that you could die on a rear-end collision, but the police told me that when you get hit with that much force, basically your body is like an egg, and the yolk inside gets cracked up, and you basically die. So I went to the crash site. I just couldn't get and I asked the police officer, well, where is the other guy? Is he dead? And of course not. And in 90% of these cases, the perpetrator walks away from the crash, right, which is, ironic. Otherwise, there wouldn't be news. You know, it would be a report, and that would be it. But in this case, as usual, he walked away from the crash.
Let's talk a little bit about him. He had actually been convicted of 2 different DUIs in 2 other communities. Right. So because he was in the country illegally, he should have been deported, but he was in this country. You have since sued those 2 communities, Chesapeake and Virginia Beach. What happened?
Well, I gave them notice to suit, because you have to do that or it'll run out of time. Right. And in both cases, they wrote back, their attorneys wrote back, their city attorneys wrote back and said, you know, under this and this law, we are under sovereign immunity, and we're going to reject your ability to sue us.
That's right. This has been such a
Ray,
this has been such a terrible 10 years for your family. Now we understand, and we should point out, you did campaign for Donald Trump. You feel that he's going to put an end to the sanctuary city business, where people who have a long criminal record, like this fella, are not able to kill anybody.
I think it's his #1 priority. I think that's why he got elected the president. I think enough people see these sanctuary cities as being unsafe. I would say that Virginia Beach was a sanctuary city when they allowed him to drive in their city and arrested him and didn't deport him. This isn't hard. If you're in a city and you pick up a criminal and he doesn't speak English and he's, you know, been hauled to jail, it isn't hard to dial the number for ICE and get a background check on the guy and see if they're going to pick him up.
Absolutely.
That essentially takes you off the sanctuary city list. I don't know why the larger cities like Chicago, who have 230,000 illegal aliens, think that that makes their city better and safe. I just, for the life of me, cannot figure that out.
Well, you know, and we, Ray, have talked on this program for a while. We don't get why and we're standing right now here in New York City, in the biggest sanctuary city in America. why it is in the best interest of the people of New York to have people with a criminal record who should not be in this country, why they wind up with special protections.
Exactly. Can you imagine that if in some of the boroughs, some of the predominantly black areas, or let's say some predominantly Arab areas, that they had sanctuary? What's the difference? I mean, if they had sanctuary, the Arabs could do their Sharia law. The south of Chicago, there were 9,000 woundings and 700 to 800 murders. They could, you know, be anonymous. We wouldn't know if they went from city to city whether they committed a murder or not. So it doesn't make sense.
Right.
It eventually leads to that crazy word called anarchy.
Well, let's see what Donald Trump does about sanctuary cities, because we saw Jeff Sessions, the Attorney General, the other day say that they would like to crack down. Let's see what happens. Ray Tranchant.
He's going to do it.
We know this is going to be a tough day for you. Thank you very much for joining us and telling us your story.
Thank you, Steve.